This is part of the series looking back at sci-fi and horror films that celebrate milestone anniversaries. Today we're in 1995, a year that didn't bring us mega hits like The Silence of the Lambs or Scream, but still had a few horror films worth remembering. Maybe this film is still underrated, but only because it wasn't the first to tell the story. John Carpenter's version reimagines the 1960 classic, itself adapted from John Wyndham's novel, The Midwich Cuckoos. The small town of Midwich falls unconscious for 6 hours, and when everyone wakes up, 10 women are inexplicably pregnant. 9 months later, their children are born on the same day. The kids grow unnaturally fast, pale-haired and cold-eyed, with a calmness that feels alien. Their psychic abilities soon become clear. They can read thoughts, bend adults to their will, and drive people to horrifying acts. Local Dr. Alan Chaffee, played by Christopher Reeve, joins government scientist Susan Werner, played by Kirstie Alley, to confront them before the town is completely undone. Carpenter adds dark humor, sharp effects, and a grim sense of paranoia, even if critics dismissed it at the time. It may not have broken new ground like the original, but the film still unsettles, and it's still worth watching. Thanks to a commentator who reminded me about this film, it definitely belongs here. Mute Witness is a British-German-Russian co-production and the debut of director Anthony Waller. The story follows Billy, a mute American makeup artist working on a slasher film in Moscow. One night, she's accidentally locked inside the studio, where she stumbles upon another crew filming what looks like a cheap exploitation movie. At first, it seems silly, but soon it turns violent, and Billy realizes she has just witnessed a snuff film. From that moment, the criminals behind it will stop at nothing to silence her. The post-Soviet Moscow setting adds a strange and unsettling backdrop, giving the chase scenes a gritty, unpredictable edge. The actress playing Billy holds the screen with a performance built on silence and expression. There's also a brief cameo from Alec Guinness, filmed years earlier, which turned out to be his last role in a theatrically released film. You can also notice Brian De Palma's influence here, though as one critic noted, there's far less blood. Director Stuart Gordon teams up again with Jeffrey Combs after Reanimator and From Beyond for a much bleaker story. Combs plays John Riley, a recovering alcoholic who moves with his wife and blind daughter into an Italian castle inherited from his aunt. The family soon learns they are not alone. Locked in the dungeon is the aunt's disfigured son, held there and abused for years. Once free, he turns violent, and the film doesn't shy away from some very harsh scenes. Shot on a small budget, Castle Freak makes good use of atmosphere and practical effects. Combs starts restrained, but wait a little. Soon he shifts into the frantic energy he's known for. Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions didn't make much noise in theaters, but it later found a second life on video. Scott Bakula plays Harry D'Amour, a private detective from New York who has a habit of running into the supernatural. He's hired to protect a celebrated illusionist and his wife after they become targets of a fanatical cult. At the center of it all is William Nix, a leader whose mix of charm and menace makes him one of Barker's more disturbing creations. The film merges detective noir with occult horror, full of strange rituals, dark atmospheres, and striking visual effects. Barker clearly wanted this to be the start of a larger series, and even if that never happened, Lord of Illusions stands out as an odd but fascinating mix of mystery and terror. Abel Ferrara's The Addiction is a stark and unsettling take on the vampire myth. Shot in black and white, it follows Kathleen, a philosophy doctoral student whose life changes after a sudden bite one night. From then on, she faces an unstoppable craving for blood, and the film treats this not as fantasy, but as a destructive habit that consumes her. Kathleen becomes colder and more ruthless. She forces her condition onto a friend, and eventually leads a group of vampires into a spree of violence at her university. The story never glamorizes her hunger. It frames it as something closer to illness, complete with denial, shame, and loss of control. The Addiction is not a stylish vampire thriller. It is closer to a bleak character study, disturbing precisely because it feels so raw and real.